Welcome back. We've just finished improving our weapon fire code, and now we're ready for reloading. Now, in order to reload, we're going to need an animation montage for reloading. So we're going to create a reloading montage. So let's go to the underscore game folder. And here in character and animations, we'll see that we've got our hip fire montage. We're ready to create a new montage. So let's right click and go to animation and select animation montage. And of course, we're going to need to select Bellica skeleton. And let's go ahead and call this reload montage. So reload montage, and we'll double click to open this. And here we have our montage. Now we're ready to drag in an asset, and we have a reload asset called reload SMG. And we can drag this in right here, and we have by default our default animation section, and we're actually going to create a new montage section. So right here next to default, right click and select new montage section, and we're going to call this reload SMG. The reason we're saying SMG is because this animation is specific to the SMG weapon, and we're going to have different sections here with the different animations for the different weapons. Now go ahead and drag this section to the beginning and drag the default section out. There we go. And right click, delete montage section. We don't want the default section. We only want reload SMG. Now here in asset details, we can come down here to blend option, and here's the blend time. Now the blend time can make this look a little bit too slow, so we're not going to use a blend time here. We're going to set this to 0. And now we're ready to create a new slot for this montage, because we want to use a particular slot for when we're reloading. That way we can play this montage and it'll still work even when we have pose data in our animation blueprint. So let's create a new anim slot by going down here to the anim slot tab at the bottom right and clicking add slot. And we're going to give this slot a name, and we're going to call this reload. So now we have the reload slot, and up here where it says default group, I can drag this out. It says .default slot. We can check the drop down, and for slot name we can choose reload. Now go ahead and click save and close out of reload montage. Now we're going to open our animation blueprint. So we're going to the character folder, opening shooter anim BP, and we're going to go back out into the shooter anim BP anim graph. Now all the way down here at the bottom, we have our hip to aim state machine. Now we'd like to run this through our new slot reload, so that if we play the reload montage, then we'll get that data in our output pose. So let's hold Alt and click to disconnect this pin, and we're going to cache hip to aim. So drag off and type cache. We're going to say new save cached pose, and we're going to say cached hip to aim. And we can give this a comment and just say hip to aim, so we know where that is on our anim graph. So next we're going to drag output pose down a bit, and we're going to use the cache pose hip to aim. So use cached pose hip to aim, and we're going to run this through a slot. So type slot and choose slot default slot. We're going to select that, and in the details panel for slot name, click the drop down and select reload, and then we'll just simply cache this off. So let's cache this, say cache, do a new saved cached pose, and we're going to call this one cached hip to aim with reload. And we'll give this a comment saying hip to aim with reload, and simply use this. So right click and use cached pose hip to aim with reload and plug that into the output pose. And that will allow us to play our reload montage. And if we do play that montage, then our output pose will reflect that animation data. So let's go ahead and compile and save and close that out, save all, and we now have our animation montage for reloading. In the next video, we'll go ahead and implement that montage by playing it from C++ when we want to reload. So we'll see you in the next video.